With the silent blessings of Mahavatar Babaji, we now enter the final doorway, the most sacred and secret chamber of Kriya Yoga. This is not for the curious. This is for the committed. This is not about doing more techniques. It is about becoming less, until only God remains. Recap. In part 1, we learned the foundations, the breath, the spine, the discipline. In part 2, we entered the deeper waters. We aligned body, mind, and subtle energies. Now in part 3, we take the final step. The veil thins. The doer dissolves. Kriya becomes not a practice, but a state of being. The true purpose of advanced Kriya. If you're here, it's because something in your soul is ready. But before we begin, a sacred warning. Advanced Kriya is not about spiritual pride or gaining siddhis. It is about the death of the ego, the merging into infinite silence, and the complete surrender of your identity into the ocean of Shiva. This is the pathless path, where even the I that meditates disappears. Inner readiness comes first. You cannot fake spiritual depth. It comes from purity of lifestyle, devotion to the divine, and a burning desire to merge into truth. If you still seek results, stop. The final steps of Kriya begin when seeking ends. This series is a transmission, not just a teaching. Each chapter is infused with the blessings of the masters. So don't just watch. Listen with your soul. Sit. Breathe. Feel Babaji beside you. A sacred invitation. In this final part, we will journey through the inner mechanics of prana, bindu, and the sushumna, the secrets of Kechari mudra, Jyoti mudra, and Nava yoga. And finally, we will dissolve into the breathless state, the silent doorway to God. Are you ready to forget yourself? Because only in forgetting yourself can you remember who you truly are. In the next chapter, we will unlock the physics behind Kriya, how breath, prana, and the spine become the rocket to God. What if I told you that your body holds a sacred map, a divine circuitry designed to awaken the infinite within you? This is not philosophy. This is spiritual physics. Let's decode the invisible science of Kriya Yoga, the forces that move within you, and the energy pathways that can unlock ultimate liberation. Within your subtle spine, 3 major energy channels flow. Ida, the lunar channel, feminine, cool, intuitive. Pingala, the solar channel, masculine, warm, active. And between them lies the Sushumna, the royal path, neutral, silent, divine. In most people, Ida and Pingala dominate alternating control of breath, mood, and mind. But in Kriya Yoga, we train the prana to rise through Sushumna. Why? Because only through Sushumna does the Kundalini awaken. Only through Sushumna can you reach the crown of consciousness. When Ida and Pingala merge at the Ajna chakra, and prana flows solely in Sushumna, stillness is born. The gateway to Samadhi opens. Beyond the channels lies another mystery, Bindu and Soma. Bindu is the point of origin, the divine seed, located at the back of the head. It is from here that Soma, the nectar of immortality, drips. Most wasted unconsciously through overthinking, excessive talking, or sensual living. But through Kechari mudra and meditative stillness, you preserve and circulate Soma, nourishing the higher centers. Then comes prana, life force itself. Prana is not just breath. It is intelligence. Through advanced Kriya, we harness prana and direct it consciously up the spine. Wherever prana flows, awareness goes. And where awareness stays, transformation happens. At the center of the eyebrows lies the Kutastha Chaitanya, the eternal witness. You've seen it in deep meditation. A radiant blue field, a golden ring, and a white 5-pointed star. This is not imagination. This is the cosmic doorway. The Kutastha is your bridge between the finite and the infinite, between your individual self and Shiva consciousness. It is said, pierce the star with your attention, and you shall pass beyond time and death. In advanced Kriya, all energy is directed here, not for focus alone, but for union. To lose yourself in the light and be reborn as awareness itself. This is not a technique. It's a transformation. Kriya Yoga is the alchemy of energy into stillness, breath into silence, individuality into infinity. When Ida and Pingala are harmonized, when Soma is preserved and Prana ascends, when the Kutastha shines in your inner sky, you don't practice Kriya anymore. You become it. Kriya Pranayam with stillness, the inner breath. With reverence to the masters and the blessings of Mahavatar Babaji, let us now enter the still heart of Kriya. Kriya Yoga begins with breath, but ends beyond it. The deeper one travels on this path, the more one realizes true pranayam is not about control, but transcendence. You may have practiced Kriya breathing techniques with rhythmic control, counting, and spinal awareness. But now, something subtler is calling. Breathless state explained. At the peak of advanced practice, breath begins to slow down until it almost stops. This is not dangerous, it is divine. Yogis call it Kevala Kumbhaka, the natural suspension of breath when the life force no longer needs to go outward. It has turned inward, energy has withdrawn from the senses. Time has slowed, mind has melted. You are not holding your breath. Your breath simply doesn't feel necessary. This is the stillness between two worlds, between form and formless. Practicing inner awareness beyond physical breath. Now your task is not to do anything. Just observe. Become intensely aware of the subtle rise and fall of life within you, like a breeze moving in a cave. Slowly, this awareness shifts from physical breath to the inner movement of prana, flowing through Sushumna. Your focus now should be on the spinal current, a subtle vertical awareness, the Kutastha, the spiritual eye, the feeling of still aliveness within. If breath returns, don't judge, let it come and go. Just return to the witness state, becoming the witness of the breath. You are not the breather. You are not even the body. You are the witnessing consciousness, aware of the movement of breath and stillness alike. This shift from being the one who does pranayam to being the one who observes inner prana is the turning point. It is here that the ego begins to dissolve. It is here that the door of Samadhi opens. Final note. Advanced Kriya Pranayam is not an action, but a disappearance. It is a return to your original self-silent, eternal, vast. Let your awareness melt into the breathless pause. Let that pause become your temple. Stay there. That is where the infinite begins. Kechari mudra, the sacred gate to immortality. When the tongue turns inward, the universe opens outward. Ancient yogic saying, in the secret chambers of yogic alchemy, there lies a hidden key. A doorway not in some remote mountain, but in your own body. This key is called Kechari mudra. Kechari is not just a tongue movement. It is the turning of attention inward. It is the physical switch that unlocks non-physical realms. The spiritual importance of the tongue posture. In ordinary life, the tongue is the slave of taste and speech. But in Kechari, the tongue becomes a spiritual wand. By curling the tongue back and upward into the nasal cavity, eventually touching the area above the soft palate, you close the circuit of outward desire. The senses begin to starve. The soul begins to awaken. In deep Kechari, breath becomes silent, the mind becomes still, and awareness turns vertical. It is no longer concerned with the world below. It is now connected to something celestial. Why Kechari is the key to immortality? According to ancient yogic texts, including the Hatha Yoga Pradipika and Shiva Samhita, Kechari grants freedom from decay and death, neutralization of hunger and thirst, union with the nectar of immortality, Amrit. But how? Because above the soft palate lies a hidden gland, a source of divine elixir known as soma. When the tongue reaches this sacred cavity, it stimulates the flow of amrit, a fluid of higher consciousness. This nectar drips from the bindu, the moon center at the back of the head, and is preserved through Kechari. Without this mudra, the nectar is lost burned in the digestive fire. With Kechari, it is redirected to the brain, and the yogi begins to live in higher realms of awareness. The connection to bindu, soma, and Sahasrara. Kechari bridges. Bindu, cosmic seed point. Soma, the inner moon and nectar. And the Sahasrara, the 1,000-petal lotus. This is not metaphorical. This is energetic. Kechari activates the pathway from the occipital center to the crown chakra, allowing the prana to rise, the nectar to be absorbed, and the ego to die. It is the internal union of moon and sun, of death and rebirth, of silence and infinite sound. A sacred reminder: do not rush Kechari. It must come gradually through inner longing and outer practice. Let it unfold like a flower in devotion, not like a goal to be achieved. Because once mastered, it is no longer just a mudra. It is a return to your eternal self, the one untouched by time. Jyoti Mudra, Divine Light Meditation. With the blessings of Mahavatar Babaji, let us now enter the realm of inner light, the eternal flame that guides the yogi beyond the illusion of form and thought. Inside every human being, behind the physical eyes and beyond the fluctuations of the mind, there exists a subtle radiant center Kutastha, the seat of divine perception. Jyoti Mudra is the sacred practice of turning the gaze inward, focusing the concentrated attention at the spiritual eye to behold the inner light. This light is not metaphorical. It is seen when the mind becomes still, the senses reversed, and the breath calmed to silence. The yogi sees it first as a spark, then a star, then a halo of blue or golden brilliance, eventually opening into the tunnel of divine consciousness. Gazing at the inner spiritual light. To practice Jyoti Mudra, the yogi withdraws all energy from the senses and merges the awareness at the Kutastha, just between and slightly above the eyebrows. The eyes remain gently closed and slightly uplifted, not forcefully, but with devotion and alert stillness. With patient and persistent concentration, the darkness behind the closed eyelids begins to shimmer. A glow appears, sometimes dim, sometimes vibrant. It could be a dot, a tunnel, a rotating wheel, or a bright sun. Do not chase it. Do not grasp. Simply see, piercing the Kutastha with attention and surrender. The Kutastha is the gate to the infinite. Piercing it does not require violence or effort, but surrendered attention. The yogi does not break into the divine light, they dissolve into it. As the ego mind steps aside, the spiritual eye begins to blossom. Piercing this light is like awakening from a dream. You suddenly realize you were always in the presence of the divine. You just had to see rightly, awakening the astral vision. As the practice deepens, the inner vision sharpens. You begin to perceive realms beyond physical form, flashes of past lives, visions of deities, glimpses of your astral body, or even divine beings appearing to guide you. But the goal is not these visions. The goal is clarity without desire, seeing without craving. In true Jyoti Mudra, the light becomes your only teacher and silence your only scripture. Note, Babaji reminds the true seeker, do not seek light to feel special. Seek light to disappear into it. It is not what you see that matters, but who is watching. When the watcher dissolves, only the light remains. Let your meditation be not a technique, but a sacred love affair with the divine presence within. And in that surrender, you will see. May the eternal light of the Kutastha guide your soul home. Omkar Kriya, Nava Yoga. With the infinite grace of Mahavatar Babaji, we now turn our awareness to the primordial sound, the eternal vibration that sustains the entire cosmos. This is Omkar Kriya, the sacred art of merging into the divine through inner sound. Sound is not merely a vibration in the air, it is the original pulse of existence. In the beginning was the word, the Om, the Om. Before light, before matter, there was Nada, the unstruck sound, the eternal hum of the divine. The yogi who learns to listen, not with ears, but with the soul, can ride this inner sound back to its source, back to the self, listening to cosmic vibration. In Omkar Kriya, the practitioner brings awareness to the inner ear, not to hear physical noise, but to tune into the divine current always flowing within. Sit in silence, close the eyes, withdraw the senses. Calm the breath. Place your awareness in the center of the head or at the spiritual eye and just listen. Don't force it. Don't imagine anything. With enough stillness, the sound reveals itself. At first, it may resemble a humming, buzzing, or ringing like the sound of crickets, a bell, or a distant conch. As attention sharpens and ego dissolves, the sound refines. Layers of sound, from gross to subtle to causal. There are many layers of this inner sound. Gross, physical or near physical sounds like heartbeat, breath, or bodily hums. Subtle, high-pitched frequencies, bell chimes, flute-like tones, or the rising roar of wind. Causal, deep silence in which sound and self become one. This is Anahata Nada, the unstruck sound. Each level is a doorway. As the yogi moves deeper, the sound becomes purer, drawing the consciousness away from the body and into the soul's center, merging into Anahata, soundless sound. The final stage of Omkar Kriya is not hearing a sound, it is becoming it. The yogi's identity dissolves into vibration itself. There is no longer a listener and a sound. There is only the one, vibrating silently in bliss. This soundless sound is heard not by the ears, but by the soul. It is the hum of the infinite, the breath of Shiva, the song of eternity. It neither begins nor ends. It simply is. Babaji's blessing. He who merges with the sound becomes soundless. He who listens deeply becomes silence. In that silence, you shall find me. Omkar is not a practice, it is your origin. It is the bridge from form to formless, from self to source. Let Omkar Kriya carry you beyond thought, beyond name, beyond death, into the infinite ocean of being. May you forever rest in the unbroken sound of the divine. Maha Mudra advanced. With the radiant blessings of Mahavatar Babaji, we now enter one of the most sacred and potent techniques in Kriya, Yoga Maha Mudra. This is no ordinary posture. It is a seal, a gateway, a divine key to mastering energy, celibacy, and spiritual awakening. How Maha Mudra seals energy. In Sanskrit, Maha means great and Mudra means seal. Maha Mudra is the great seal. It locks life force within the spine and prevents it from dissipating through the senses. It harmonizes the energy centers, purifies the nadis, energy channels, and balances the brain hemispheres. By bending the body into a sacred shape, breath, awareness, and prana are channeled directly into the spine. It's like closing all leaking pipes in the body and redirecting the water to a single divine stream. The yogi who practices Maha Mudra daily becomes a master of inner alchemy, preventing energy loss, mastering celibacy and vitality. Every spiritual tradition speaks of preserving one's life force. This energy, especially sexual energy, is sacred. When wasted, it drains the body, weakens the mind, and clouds intuition. But when transformed, it becomes Oya's spiritual brilliance, magnetism, and inner power. Maha Mudra trains the body and mind to hold that energy. It protects your inner fire. It supports true brahmacharya, not suppression, but intelligent transformation. In this mudra, the prana that would normally flow downward and outward is lifted up and in toward the brain, toward the soul. Over time, the practitioner experiences increased vitality, glowing health, and clarity of purpose. Lust turns into light. Cravings melt into calmness. This is the real celibacy, not fear-based denial, but fearless redirection. linking the spinal current with consciousness. Maha mudra is the link between the physical and the divine. The posture activates the Sushumna Nadi, the central channel of spiritual energy in the spine. When you hold the pose, apply bandhas, and merge your breath with awareness, your consciousness rides the current of prana up the spinal highway from the base of the spine to the kotastha. In that stillness, the inner and outer worlds unite. You are no longer just the body, you are the breath, the energy, the vastness behind thought. You sit on the threshold of cosmic realization. Babaji's blessing. Maha mudra is the master's secret. It hides power in stillness and awakens God in silence. Seal your energy, and you will not fall. Lift your prana, and you will not fail. Unite your breath with awareness, and I shall meet you in the spine. With this advanced key in your hand, walk with dignity, preserve your treasure, and shine like a sun that never sets. May your body become a temple, your spine a pillar of light, and your soul a flame of eternal bliss. Sahasrara, activation and surrender. Beyond all effort, beyond all technique, lies the final doorway Sahasrara, the thousand-petaled lotus, the crown of your being. Here, your personal identity dissolves into divine infinity. No longer the doer, you become the instrument. No longer the seeker, you become the silence. Crown chakra and ego death. The Sahasrara chakra, located at the crown of the head, is not just a center of energy, it is the seat of pure consciousness. It represents your connection to the Absolute, to Shiva, to the unnameable. When this center awakens, the sense of I begins to melt. The ego, the one who practices, who achieves, who seeks, dies. In its place arises silence, stillness, and spaciousness. You do not lose yourself, you dissolve into your true self. There is no greater death than the death of ego, and no greater birth than the birth of God within. Moving from effort to surrender. In the early stages, the path is built on discipline, control, and effort. You chant, breathe, visualize, sit, strive. But when you reach the crown, something shifts. The same way a river no longer struggles when it meets the ocean, the soul no longer tries when it nears the divine. This is the point where doing ends and being begins. You surrender not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. You bow not in defeat, but in divine trust. You realize that grace carries you further than effort ever could. Letting Shiva take over. This is the ultimate step, Sharanagati, total surrender. You whisper from within, I am not the breath, I am not the body, I am not even the energy, I am yours. When this surrender is genuine, Shiva, the inner guru, takes over. Your mind becomes his tool. Your heart beats to his rhythm. Your life flows as his will. You are not abandoned. You are absorbed. You do not lose control. You merge with cosmic intelligence. No fear can touch you here. No desire can disturb you here. Because you are no longer separate. Babaji's blessing. When you reach the crown, do not try to hold it. Let go. Fall inward. Fall upward. In that sacred fall, I will catch you. Sahasrara is not a peak to conquer, but a sky to melt into. Let Shiva breathe you. Let him live through you. Only then will you know what freedom truly means. This is the final surrender. This is the awakening that requires no noise. This is the end of the seeker and the beginning of the self. Let go, let Shiva. Entering the breathless state, Samadhi gateway. Beyond breath, beyond body, beyond thought, there lies the sacred doorway to eternity. This is the breathless state, Kevala Kumbhaka, the gateway to Samadhi. Not an escape from life, but an entry into life's highest reality. How advanced Kriya leads to Kevala Kumbhaka. In the beginning, you breathe consciously pranayama. Then the breath becomes subtle spontaneous Kriya. Eventually the breath stops. Not forcibly, not unnaturally. It ceases because the mind becomes still. This is Kavala Kumbhaka, a natural, effortless suspension of breath that arises when the prana flows harmoniously in the sushumna, and the mind dissolves into the self. You don't try to enter it. It comes as grace when the inner winds are balanced, the spine is purified, and the ego is silent. This state is not death, it is immortality. You're fully conscious, deeply awake, yet utterly still. Introduction to Savikalpa Samadhi. This breathless state becomes the foundation for Savikalpa Samadhiya, state of oneness with form, with sensation, with awareness, yet free from bondage. You are still aware of yourself. You can still describe the experience, but it is drenched in divine nectar, far beyond words or logic. In Savikalpa Samadhi, time slows or vanishes. The body feels weightless, almost non-existent. Light and sound may appear, not through the senses, but within the soul. It is not imagination. It is not a trance. It is direct experience of the subtle self. You return changed. You now know there's something more because you've tasted it. How to recognize glimpses of oneness. You may not enter full samadhi today, but signs appear. Sudden stillness during meditation. Loss of breath awareness, yet no panic. Inner expansion, like the sky inside you has no walls. A deep sense of love, not directed at anything, just being love. Moments when you feel, I am not this body, not this mind. I just am. These are not fantasies. They are doorways opening. Don't chase them. Don't cling to them. Let them come. Let them dissolve. Be the silent witness. In time, with devotion and surrender, these glimpses become your ground. Babaji's whisper. The breathless state is not something you achieve, it is what you uncover. It is your natural state when noise, fear, and effort drop away. Let the breath slow. Let the self shine. In that sacred stillness, you will meet me. The path to Samadhi is not straight. It spirals, but every spiral leads you inward. And inward is where the infinite lives. Be still. Be breathless. Be boundless. You began with effort. You walked with discipline. Now you must dissolve. This is the final paradox of the spiritual journey. You climb the mountain with intense effort, only to find that the peak requires you to let go of everything, even the method that brought you there. Letting go of even Kriya. Kriya Yoga is a sacred ladder, but even a ladder must be left behind when you reach the rooftop. Kriya purifies, it awakens, it prepares, but it is still a doing. In the deepest stillness, even doing becomes noise. There will come a moment when your inner guide, the guru within, will whisper, "Now, stop." Not out of laziness, not out of neglect, but because the flame is already burning, you don't need to fan it anymore. Advanced practitioners know this. True Kriya becomes spontaneous, then silent, then nothing. And in that nothingness, God alone remains. Embrace silence, bhakti, and total surrender. Let silence be your mantra. Let bhakti, devotion, be your path. Let surrender be your final act of courage. When you surrender, you stop trying to awaken, because you realize you are already the awakened one. Dreaming you are asleep. Silence is the womb of God. Bhakti is the heart's pure cry. Surrender is the soul's return to its origin. You don't need techniques anymore. You need truth. You need trust. You need to become empty, becoming a child of the infinite. A child doesn't plan. A child doesn't control. A child simply trusts. This is your final transformation. From seeker to disciple to nobody to a child of the infinite. In this childlike state, you live in wonder. You pray without asking. You feel God in a breeze, in a tear, in a stranger's smile. You have nothing, yet lack nothing. This is the pathless path. It cannot be taught. It can only be realized. Mahavatar Babaji's final blessing. I gave you Kriya to awaken you. Now I give you silence to absorb you. Rest in me. Let all seeking end. You are that which you seek. The journey ends where it began. In the heart. In God. In you. You are not walking toward the divine. You are the divine. Remembering itself. Let go. Let God. Let truth be. And just like that, you disappear into infinity. The final ascent, preparing for the highest Kriya. They say when the student is truly ready, the path disappears because the seeker merges with the source. This is not just the final part of our Kriya Yoga journey. This is the descent into stillness, the silence behind all mantras, the breath before the first breath. What you are about to enter is not a technique. It is a sacred fire. And only those who are willing to burn ego, doubt, pride, identity can pass through it. Advanced Kriya Yoga is not for the curious. It is for the courageous. It is not for those who want powers. It is for those who are ready to dissolve the one who even wants power. We are not here to achieve anything. We are here to lose ourselves. Because true yoga is not union through effort, but union through surrender. In the beginner stages, we move the breath. In the intermediate, we move the energy. But here, the breath will move you. The energy will teach you. And the guru within will guide you without words. This stage of Kriya is known as the Royal Path Raja Yoga because the soul begins to remember its divine royalty. Not the crown of ego, but the crown of cosmic silence. But before we enter the advanced techniques, you must pause and look within. Ask yourself honestly, am I here to become someone? Or am I here to become no one? Because only the one who becomes no one can merge with the infinite one. These upcoming practices are not tricks or shortcuts. They are sacred keys. And the door they open is not out there. It's hidden in the center of your being. So take a breath, close your eyes, and say silently, I am ready to disappear into the divine. Let Shiva take over, the spiritual physics behind Kriya. What if I told you that your spine is the staircase to heaven? Not metaphorically, literally. Within you flows a subtle science, ancient, invisible, and precise. A spiritual technology more advanced than anything modern science has ever seen. You've heard the names, Ida, Pingala, Sushumna. But they are not just energy channels. They are conscious rivers flowing from the root of your being to the crown of your soul. Think of Ida as the moon channel, cool, calming, feminine. It flows on the left side of the spine, governing intuition, emotion, stillness. Pingala is the sun channel, hot, active, masculine. It flows on the right side, sparking action, logic, movement. Most people live their entire life bouncing between these two, sun and moon, logic and feeling, doing and resting. But the master walks the middle path. That path is called Susvina, the central channel. It's not activated by chance. It awakens when breath becomes sacred, when ego surrenders, when silence becomes your home. In advanced Kriya Yoga, our breath is no longer shallow or random. We direct it with precision. We merge Ida and Pingala at the Ajna chakra. And in that union, the Sushumna awakens. The breath enters the spine not just as air, but as pranic intelligence. It flows upward like a serpent of light, piercing each chakra until it touches the 1,000-petaled lotus at the crown. This is not a fantasy. This is the blueprint of your divinity. And here's the most mystical part. As breath rises through Sushumna, time disappears. Thoughts vanish. You no longer meditate, meditation happens to you. This is the physics of the soul, the inner alchemy. And Kriya is the flame that makes it all possible. But remember, you cannot fake this. You cannot rush this. You must purify, prepare, surrender, because when the Sushumna fully opens, you are no longer human. You are no longer even you. You become the breath of God inhaling universes, exhaling stars, the inner guru and the role of divine grace. You've done the breath. You've activated the spine. You've traveled within the sacred temple of your own body. Now who is guiding you? Your teacher may have shown you the method, but the deeper you go, the more you realize the real guru is not outside. He lives in your silence. In the ancient scriptures they say, when the disciple is ready, the guru appears. But the true guru does not wear robes. He doesn't speak in words. He appears in your stillness, as a presence, as a knowing, as grace. Yes, grace is not earned. It's not achieved through effort alone. It is received when the ego dies. And here's the paradox. Only when you surrender fully do you gain access to the highest power. In the advanced stages of Kriya Yoga, you stop doing the Kriya. Instead, Kriya does you. You sit, you breathe, and suddenly, something else takes over. Your breath moves on its own. Your spine becomes like a river of light. You are no longer the doer. This is when the inner guru awakens. He is not separate from you. He is your deepest self, your soul in its most luminous form. You may feel a hand guiding your breath, a presence adjusting your posture. You may receive visions, hear nothing but stillness, or weep for no reason. These are not hallucinations. These are signs that grace is descending. You are now walking the path of surrender. And in that surrender, Kriya becomes a divine dance between your soul and the infinite. You are no longer practicing. You are being practiced by God Himself. The final door. What lies beyond the practice? There comes a moment on the path when even Kriya fades away. No breath control, no spine awareness, no technique. Just you and the infinite. You sit, not to do something, but to be undone. You're no longer seeking light, because you realize you are light. You're no longer climbing the ladder, because the ladder itself dissolves. This is the final door. And here's the truth. You cannot open it. It opens by itself. When you disappear. All these years you thought the goal was Samadhi. But now you see, even Samadhi is a shadow. The true awakening is not an experience. It's the end of all experiences. It's not blissful or painful. It just is. You are no longer a practitioner, no longer a seeker. You become the very presence that was seeking. There is no you left to realize God, because you and God are one. No breath, no thought, no sense of time. Just stillness, just silence, just truth. This is where the path of Kriya Yoga ends, or rather, where it dissolves into the ocean of the eternal now. And yet, this is just the beginning of a different kind of life. Not spiritual, not worldly, just real. You become the mountain, the river, the fire. You walk through the world untouched, but deeply involved. You speak little, because silence now says everything. You love fully, because love is all that remains. You are not here to teach, not to impress, not to prove anything. You are simply here, and that is enough. You have now walked through all three gates, from the first breath of awareness to the depths of stillness where even breath surrenders. But this path is not just knowledge. It's not a video, a mantra, or a method. It is a living fire, waiting to be kindled inside your soul. Kriya Yoga is not the goal. It is the bridge to your true self. And now, as you stand silently at the edge of this infinite sky, know this: you are not alone. Beyond your sight, beyond your mind, a presence walks with you. Gentle, powerful, ancient. The one known as Mahavatar Babaji. He watches, he guides, he waits for that moment when you're ready to burn everything that is false and rise in the light of who you really are. So bow your head now, close your eyes, and in the silence whisper, "Babaji, I'm ready. Guide me, use me. Let me become a vessel of your grace. May his blessings fall upon you like dew on the mountain, invisible yet transformative, soft yet eternal. And may your journey be filled with fire, with love, with silence, and above all, with truth. This is not the end. This is your beginning. Om Kriya Babaji Nama Om.